What's the secret to a happy, successful, supportive, full of respect relationship?
Well, first of all, this is going to sound like an insult or really cold. I leased out a 4-bedroom apartment for $3,500. And then I got people to come and get a bedroom in each house for $1,000 each.
Yeah.
So I got the crappiest room for $500. So I was able to live for nothing.
So you sold the hustle and got over $20 million in profit. Walk me through the first 72 hours once the wire hit your bank.
6 months before I sold the company, I used this finance app where I manually put in that much money into my account. So I looked at it every day and I thought that the money was already there.
What's your advice to someone who's trying to find their edge?
Have you ever heard of this thing called the Ikigai? So the Ikigai, it's this Venn diagram of 4 circles, and it's what the world wants, what you're good at, what you love doing, and what the world wants to pay for.
How did you know that she was the one?
When my wife met me, I was really fat and overweight. Yeah, I was pretty disgusting looking. I think I had a mohawk and camouflage pants when I met her.
Why did your wife believe in you so much?
I have no idea.
Hi everyone, we're here in Upper West Side in New York City, a beautiful residential neighborhood, and I'm on my way to meet Sam Parr. Sam is a really incredible serial entrepreneur and a podcast host. He's built The Hustle that he sold for over $20 million to HubSpot. He's the co-host of My First Million, a podcast with millions of downloads. And now he's the founder of Hampton, a founder community for digital-first founders with over $3 million in revenue. Sam and I think, are going to have a really rich conversation where we'll talk about his definition of success, how he's built a few successful businesses, how he's approaching his business now, how he's staying so balanced, how he's met his life partner. And I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. Let me know what you think, and let's get to it. Okay, wait, so tell me, have you always been so balanced?
Have I? No, I've not always been balanced. I think I got balanced maybe when I was 30 years old.
Okay.
Probably after selling my company, I got a lot more balanced, but I've always been a homebody. But no, I've not always been balanced.
So what has been that transition from being, hustling, I guess, all the time to being more balanced?
Well, I think about work and progress all the time. So I don't know if I'm balanced in my brain, but frankly, selling my company, selling a company allowed me to have a lot more space and also just maturity. That helped a lot.
So you sold The Hustle and got over $20 million in profit. Walk me through the first 72 hours once the wire hit your bank.
You know what's funny is I use this thing called, I use Monarch Money now, but before I forget what I was using, but I use this thing to track my finances. 6 months before I sold the company, I used this finance app where I manually put in that much money into my account. So I looked at it every day and I thought that the money was already there. So I got really used to it. Does that make sense?
So you put the $20 million yourself? And
no, I didn't put that much. I put less, but I put money in there because I didn't get all of that up front. I got
it was in chunks.
I got a whole bunch up front, and then I got a bunch of HubSpot stock.
Got it.
And then I got paid a little bit for some other stuff throughout the next 2 years. And you worked at Airbnb, right?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Airbnb went public, where my wife worked at Airbnb, and it went public in
2020. End of
November?
2020. Yeah.
And then I sold my company 4 months later.
Oh, wow.
Or
So you guys both got this paycheck, payday.
It was a pretty life-changing moment. That 3 months changed our lives significantly.
So I have friends, a couple who both worked at Coinbase, and obviously Coinbase had a huge IPO at the same time. And their life changed in kind of obviously in a very drastic way, but they were kind of lost for a little bit because they were oh, wow, we're so young and we're already rich. What's next? What was it like for your wife and you?
I wasn't lost. No, I didn't feel lost because I've been running a company, so the business was making a lot of revenue. It wasn't making a ton of profit, but it was making good profit. And so I had money, just not in the form of cash or money that I could spend. I had an asset. Did I get lost? No, I didn't get lost. I guess to me, didn't feel real. It probably took me 2 years for it to feel real. Yeah.
Why did it take so long? Is it because you were kind of ramping up?
Because there's usually there's two ways that entrepreneurs tend to make money, I guess. One is my father-in-law owns a moving company, and he started it and ran it for 30 years, and he made this amount of income in year 1, and then it went up a little bit in year 2, and after like 10 or 20 years it was probably making like a lot of like income, so I got used to it. With me, I wasn't making a ton of income, and then overnight like I got a lump sum. And so like that definitely like messed with me a little bit.
Tell me more about that.
Like I was like running the first couple of years of my company, I paid myself like $2,000 a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like
And you were living in San Francisco, I think, right?
Yeah, because I leased out a 4-bedroom apartment for $3,500, and then I got people to come and like get a bedroom in each house for $1,000 each. So I got the crappiest room for $500.
Oh, no.
So I was able to live for like nothing. And then almost all of my meals came from one of two places. They came from the company credit card. So I would eat at the office and just buy lunch for everyone. And that's what I would do. Or my wife, she worked at Airbnb and also worked at Facebook. She would just like bring me food home from the company, from the cafeteria.
Why did your wife believe in you so much?
I have no idea. That's a great question. When my wife met me, you guys will have to show a photo of it. I was really fat and overweight, and I didn't look nice.
Literally when you guys met at that like bar happy hour.
Yeah, I was like pretty like disgusting looking. I think I had a mohawk and camouflage pants when I met her, and I was like overweight.
That's amazing.
And I didn't have a lot of money. I just started my company, so I don't know why she believed in me. I think that I was just.
Have you ever asked her?
I think that particularly this works for like men, but like I think women are drawn. I think everyone, but like women are drawn to people, young men who have ambition and passion.
Yeah, and a vision or some sort of vision.
Yeah, and even if it's like it doesn't have to be a monetary one. It could be like I am obsessed with like being the best painter, and I think that everyone is driven by someone who says this is the future that I'm driving towards. I'm going there with or without you, but I would love it if you came with me.
Yeah. I think that for men, the most important thing is to have purpose.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, just like I think that men need a place that they said that they're going to go to, and they need little checkpoints and milestones along the way to let them know that they're getting closer to it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
How did you know that she was the one?
Right away. I think I told her I loved her like 3 weeks in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, how did you feel that?
How did I what?
How did you feel that? Like why is 3 weeks in?
Because she was very I thought she was like physically very pretty, as I was very drawn to her. She had a very like elegant beauty, a very poised beauty. But I was always attracted or was looking for a woman who was incredibly like strong, because I'm a little like up and down and I can be a little crazy, and I needed like a steady person. And I think I met her when I was 24 and she was 21 or 22. And I could tell right away that I could be a little nutty and crazy, and that she was just going to be able to hold me up and be steady.
That's amazing.
It was very obvious. And her parents, my wife's mom is an immigrant, and I love the immigrant mentality. So I was like, that's to me like kind of the American dream. And her father and mother now are both entrepreneurs, and so I think she understood. But they're really successful now.
Right, like her mom is a pillow, and like she sells pillows.
Yeah, she started a pillow company. It's a very successful company, and her father has a very successful moving company as well. And they're very successful, but they didn't start that way. And it was really cool to be with a woman who experienced, like, she knew what it was like to have a lot. She knew what it was like to be like up and coming. Yeah. And I thought that was awesome.
That's awesome. I heard on a podcast about your guys' 4F meeting, the family,
fitness, finance, and fun. Yeah.
Love it. Okay, tell me more about the meeting. Like, what actually happens? How long is it? What's the agenda?
It's on my calendar right now, actually. So I think I have one next week.
Okay.
Towards the end of the month. And we review our finances. And the finance is not necessarily the most important part, but it's sort of like the root for, okay, so here's how much we spent. Were you happy with what you spent on? Is there something else that you would like to do? Like for example, the other day we got a $4,000 cash back on a credit card. And it was exciting. We were like, all right, you get two, I get two. Let's talk about what we want to do. Like, nice. This is exciting. And it's just like a really good way to like get in check about, are we being purposeful and mindful? And it sounds like trite to talk about spending, because that's not actually what I care about. It's just that's just like one of the tools that we can use to like do things that might make us happy and to be intentional about it.
So finance is the only topic, or finance is the umbrella and then it's
that's just like we say it's for finance reasons and we review the numbers, but really it's about family, fitness, and fun.
So do you come in to the meeting with the goals that you've set for yourself the previous month, and then you are like, okay, this is how I actually did?
Yeah, so we have like a monthly budget where I don't care where the money goes to. It's just, did we spend below this? And if we didn't, let's ask ourselves why. And then like, if we are happy or not happy, we can change the budget if we want. And that's basically what it is. And then I personally set like quarterly fitness goals, and I'll like fill her in on if I'm achieving those or not.
Nice.
And then she has the same as well. So
and
like,
you keep each other accountable, obviously.
Yeah, like before she got pregnant, you'll have to show these videos. Actually, I think she was early in her pregnancy. She wanted to do she wanted to do pull-ups.
Okay.
So it was like, are you doing your pull-ups? What's up? There's that type of thing.
That's awesome. Actually, my last question on the partner stuff. What's the secret to a happy, successful, supportive, full of respect relationship?
Well, first of all, this is going to sound like an insult, or this is going to sound like really cold, but we have this friend named Logan.
Uh-huh. Is it Logan Yuri?
Yeah.
I know Logan.
I love Logan. So Logan was my wife's best friend, and I've become very, very close with her as well. She has this book called How Not to Die Alone.
Yeah, I love the book.
And she's got this
very rational.
She's got part of the book where it's called like F the Spark, which is like basically this idea that everyone thinks that when you meet someone, it's really love at first sight. You should have this spark. And I totally, and she says, no, that's not true. And I totally agree with her. And I have a bunch of friends who, most of my best friends are Indian, and their parents were arranged. And I always thought that was fascinating. And I've always kind of aligned with that in a weird, kind of a weird way. And what I mean by that is, I think that with my wife and I, at a very early stage, we said, yes, we love each other. Yes, we're attracted to each other. But also, we have this sort of like agreement, like we are going to do life together, and we are committed to each other. And it's like a binding contract that literally means till death does us part. And I think that we are very explicit about that, which is like, we will make it work no matter what. And I think having that like agreement is actually quite good. And I did that with my co-founder, by the way, too. So we like basically, my wife and I, we outlined, we're like, all right, so 6 months in to us dating, we said, this looks like it's going to like potentially end in marriage. Like we don't intend to break up, but things are going well. And so like, what do you want your life to look like when you're 30 or 40 or 50? And I said the same. And I was like, what values do you want to live by? How many kids do you want to have? Where do you want to live? What type of lifestyle do you want? And then I said what I wanted. And we're like, okay, this like aligns. It's pretty good. Like, and it was sort of like this sounds way colder than it is, but it's almost like a handshake where it's like, we agree. We agree to this.
Yeah, I love that because, as you said, with co-founders, that's what you do when you start a company. You talk about what exit do you want, how much
most people don't do that.
Exactly. So most people don't do that because they're scared of the uncomfortability of the conversation, but it's almost like exciting. Let's see how we can be a part of each other's 100%. Future.
So my co-founder and I did this as well because it worked out so good with my marriage, where we like said like, what do you want your day-to-day to look like? What are you willing to give up? What are you unwilling to give up? And what would success look like?
Yeah. How did you know to ask these questions and have that type of conversation at such a young age?
I've always been like that. So like, I think I read this book called Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
And like, he's a little bit of a charlatan, but the book had a lot of good topics. And this idea of like writing down goals. So I've always been like super interested in writing down. There's a MFM listener. He just said hi. I've always been really good about writing down goals and being very specific. That says, in 5 years, this is where I want to go, and this is what I want to have, and this is what I want to have, and just reverse engineer that. I've always done that. It's very effective.
Yeah, I love Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. I think I saw your guys' excerpt on Twitter or on X with Sean that, okay, the guys actually made up a bunch of shit in the book.
You made up everything, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. The advice is great.
You can like the art and not the artist.
Yeah. So on MFM, you've interviewed hundreds of rich people. Yeah. What's one trait?
I have probably a lot of broke people. I think we've interviewed a bunch of criminals. We've interviewed all types of people.
That's great. It's good to have a range.
Yeah.
What's one trait amongst the successful people that they all share that no one really talks about?
A huge percentage of the epically successful people, I'm talking billionaires, generally speaking, they will acknowledge how important luck is. And I don't think that a lot of people starting out, myself included, they don't acknowledge, you think you get to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And I think that's a really good attitude to have. But the majority of epically successful people agree that luck played a huge part in their success. I think that I didn't buy into that until I started talking to some of these people. And then I also had a little bit of success myself. But luck is real, I think.
So tell me more about how do you think about luck? Because there is the rational point of like you increase your surface area of bets and then you prepare for the lucky
Which
moments.
I agree with.
Yeah. But there is also the more spiritual way of thinking about luck.
Well, I think there's like macro luck. So like I was born in a really good area. I was born to parents that were emotionally supportive. I looked the way I do, and I was born in America. Like there's that. But I think that so when COVID happened, a lot of people suffered. I crushed it.
Yeah, I loved COVID.
Like COVID was so good to me. And sometimes I feel guilt, but like our business took off. I sold my company during COVID. 2 weeks or a week after I sold my company, the CEO of HubSpot got into a life-threatening accident where he almost died. And had that happened 2 weeks before I sold my company, would that deal still have happened? I don't know. You know what I mean? And I had nothing to do with that. Either of those things, the COVID or him almost dying, yeah. But I benefited from them. And that's sort of like, yeah, I can't, that's not, yeah. And that's crazy. And there's been so many times where one introduction, one email, like one post that I've made has like changed everything.
So what's your advice for someone who wants to increase their surface level area of luck?
I think if you're young and not successful yet, or you're still on the up, coming up, you just need, I believe that quantity leads to quality. So you need lots and lots and lots of output. And you need to have lots of output for a very long time.
Yeah, I think one thing that people lack, myself including, is patience. Because I think right now we're living in such a short-term rewards type of world that it feels like, oh my God, if the thing is not working immediately or in a very short period of time, but then you see other people come up because they're sharing their highlight reel. Maybe I should move on to do something else.
Yeah, I think it's always been that way. I think there's this great book by Robert Greene called Human Nature. And
yeah, okay.
I just think that like humans have always been the same. So I actually strongly disagree when people say, well, in today's age, it's different. I don't think it's ever different. Yeah, it's hard to be patient. That's what separates the winners from the losers is the ability to have grit.
So on patience and reinventing yourself, you have reinvented yourself so many times, from the roommate app, the hustle, the Hampton. How do you keep your identity small? Yeah. Do you keep your identity small?
That's an interesting question. I would say that a lot of people who know me closely would say that I do have a big ego at times, but then other people will say that I think I have like a dichotomy where I think I'm shit and I think I'm nothing and I'm a nobody and like what I think is always wrong. Like I have this like very self-deprecating attitude. Yeah. So I think it's like I have both.
That's amazing. And how do you cultivate patience?
I don't know. I struggle with it too. I don't know. The way that I tend to do things is that when I make decisions and I go all in on them, I tend to make the decision in such a way where it's an irreversible decision.
Yeah.
So for example, if I want to start a company, I tend to immediately hire people.
Oh, I see. So that it's much harder to pull out.
Yeah, so I can't bail.
But what if you started the wrong company?
Then you just make it work. I tend to kind of.
But what if you hate it?
I don't know. I just think that like you do it anyway.
I see.
That's just kind of like my Midwestern attitude of like.
If you committed, you stay committed.
Yeah, like my company Hampton right now, it is fucking hard. It is so hard what we do. And there's so many times that I've interviewed someone and I'm like, oh my gosh, they grew their company to like 3 billion in 3 years. And like maybe the smart thing to do is to like bail and go and do something else. But that's just not how I think about things. I just think like you commit and you die or fail. I don't know. Like, you just do it.
Do you think there is a better or worse way to make decisions and live life? Or is this like ultimately a better way?
I think the right way. I think I've seen more people have success quitting something that is only mediocre and to going to something like a controversial opinion I have is like, I actually do think that overnight successes are real. Like, I think that you can get something right and within 6 to 12 months, your life is totally changed. And I think that a lot of times people will work on things that are stupid and just mathematically do not get them to where they want to go and they should quit and start something new.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot of times where it's like something clicks and then in 6 months, in a year, things are really, really working. But then to your point, I think you really have to take a lot of shots at the goal and increase your output to be able to figure out what's going to click.
Yeah. And like, keep in mind, like I'm figuring all this shit out as I go too. I think that like, generally speaking, I get interviewed and people talk to me about something that I did 5 years. Like I sold my company 5 years ago. I started it when I was 26 or something like that. And it within 4 years, it changed my life. And I joke with my wife, I'm like, the stupid newsletter that I wrote when I was 26 is going to change our great grandchildren's lives. And like one would argue I didn't have that much patience. And I do think I got really lucky.
How do you think about not being bored with the Hampton, given that now you're kind of like, I'm committed to this for life?
How do I deal with it?
Do you ever get bored?
I've never asked myself that question.
Okay, you're just like keep doing, no time for rumination and reflecting on, am I bored, am I not?
Am I getting bored?
The reason why I'm asking
That's so funny.
is
I've never actually thought about that. I guess I do find joy in like the smallest things. Like we're building a little media team in the company and like I get joy with that. I think that I look at company building, it's just like a playground to me of like just creating things that are interesting to me. So I've never thought about that.
I love that, actually. I feel like it's oftentimes a useless question because it doesn't really lead to anything, but
I've never, wait, so the question was, how do I deal with getting bored?
yeah, like, do you ever get bored or think about like, oh man, I'm going to be doing the same thing for a long time? Because in your career, you've kind of done different things every few years.
Yeah, like, I guess, like, I just think there's always an out. Like, I could just sell it.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
I always try to build sellable companies, even if I don't intend to sell them.
Yeah.
So I could always, I can sell the company today and make a lot of money. Yeah, I've never thought about.
I think this is one takeaway from this conversation. Do not ask yourself a question of, am I bored or not, or am I going to be bored? I think some people, and sometimes I do that, get stuck and, strategizing the future of like, oh, but I'm committing to this for X many years, but what if it's going to get boring? And usually it's a useless exercise because it's pulling you from the present.
I just kind of think that like, I like to look at, there's this, I do two things. One, I just kind of like, this sounds horrible. I just say life sucks, deal with it. And I don't know. I'll be happy along the way and I'll make fun of myself and my friends as I go. I think there's this cool thing called negative visualization that I do all the time.
Yeah.
It's like a stoic thing where like, I imagine the worst things in the world have happened. Like my children are ill or dying. My wife is dead or dying. I have lost my legs and I can like the worst things on earth, I imagine.
Yeah.
And like, if you close your eyes for 5 minutes and truly visualize that, it actually starts to feel real. And then you open up your eyes. Like, have you had a dream and you wake up angry from that dream because you're like, I thought that was real? You could do that to yourself. And then you wake up and you're like, oh, none of that's true.
Joe Hudson talks about the negative.
Who's Joe Hudson?
He's like this executive coach that works with a lot of CEOs in the Valley and around the world that are very successful. And one of his things is just talking about emotions and getting rid of the emotion that is creating resistance in your life.
Oh, that's cool.
And actually, one thing that I remember.
Joe Hudson famous?
He's like famous in the coaching circles. He has a podcast.
I need a coach. I need a coach.
I don't know if he's a great coach. It seems like he's a great coach, but I like his content.
Joe. So holler at me, Joe. I need a coach.
So I remember this one story about like an argument with his wife that he talks about, where if you argue with your partner, like get quiet and then go in separate rooms and then visualize the worst possible thing. Like let's say the argument does result in a divorce, and then come to the conversation with letting go of those feelings because you've already come to that conclusion that it could be really bad, and then you can have a much more productive conversation.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Joe. See, I already got value from Joe.
See, maybe Joe is the coach. Okay, awesome. So on life sucking, I have a question about grind and suffering. So
you want to walk that way?
Yeah, let's do it.
You guys want to see something cool? I'll show you something. So where we're filming this is the Upper West Side. I'm a huge history fan. So the building that I live in is a building from the Gilded Age. We just walked by a really famous Gilded Age building. Something that I've developed as I've gotten a little bit older is I've always loved history, but I love surrounding myself with old historical things and beautiful things. I didn't realize how important that was. And it makes my mood significantly better. And this is why I live in this neighborhood. Because I like seeing all this old stuff. And
is it specifically older things? What if the thing is aesthetically pleasing, but it's a little more modern?
That's fine, but I prefer old things. I love things that get better with age. So for example, I'm wearing denim on denim right now.
Oh yeah, you're a big fan of denim, right?
I love denim. And the reason why I love denim is it's one of the few clothing items that I think it's significantly better. The more you wear it, the more patina that something develops. And so I love things that get better with wear.
Any favorite denim brands for the audience?
Yeah, I just bought a pair of Momotaro jeans. It's the Japanese make amazing denim because they're into craft.
I'm going to Japan in a couple of weeks, and my boyfriend and I are looking for Japanese denim. So thank you for the recommendation.
Ironheart, Momotaro are probably the two that I love best.
Okay, love it. Thank you. So, okay, if you want to be successful, does it all have to be negative grind and suffering, or can you do it through a joyous, positive grind?
Generally speaking, okay, so what we're doing here, when people ask this question, I hate giving rules because I can give you many examples of like freak athletes and NBA players who don't follow any rules, and they don't eat healthy, they don't do anything. But generally speaking, if you do these things, I think it will increase the likelihood. And so I would say that if you are below the age of 40 and you are not successful yet, however you want to define that, working mindlessly long hours will probably increase the odds. There is some point, and generally speaking, if you own a company, that's around the $5 million, maybe $3 million, maybe $10 million, something where you're able to have like a small executive team. Generally speaking, at that point, I think working 40 hours a week, 100% will get you to most places where you want to go to.
So you'd say that working 40 hours a week can still get you to being rich?
Yeah. I think that you have to put the hours in early a lot. But yes, generally speaking, I think that you can work 40 hours a week and be incredibly successful. I can give you many examples.
A bit of a controversial question. Do you think the definition of success for men and women are different?
That's interesting. I've never thought about that either. Well, the definition for me, and I'm a man, of success is to have children who love me and want to be around me. That's probably the definition of success. And also that I can create like a legacy that like lives on. And that generally speaking, people around me love me and get energy from me. I don't know. Is that different than what a woman's definition
I think that's pretty similar, probably. Given that you put the people, the family, etc. up top, I think that's pretty true for all human beings across the board.
Yeah, I definitely like have like grand aspirations. And I do like you get joy out of like being in war and like dominating, which I guess is like a traditional masculine thing. But like generally speaking, I prefer like harmony and peace.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's an insecurity that you still have?
Oh, how much time you got? Yeah. I mean, we could go on forever. I mean,
okay, what's the top one that do you feel like your insecurities are resolvable, or is it kind of like, okay,
probably not.
Oh, okay.
I think that like if you were to go and take like a bunch of LSD and mushrooms,
probably resolve
I probably could have a breakthrough, but I'm not going to be doing that. What insecurities do I have? Just like I fear constantly that I'm a one-hit wonder. I fear constantly that like.
But you've already proven to yourself that that's not true.
Yeah, but you're asking me an emotional question and trying to answer it rationally. I don't think rationally in for a lot of these situations. So I think that like I'm fearful of being a one-hit wonder. I'm fearful of like not being relevant. The biggest fear that I have is not fulfilling my potential. I think about that all the time.
So how do you quantify your potential to know that you've fulfilled it?
Well, one way that I do it, which is like incredibly toxic and messed up, but that's company size and net worth.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like if I was an athlete and I ran the 100-meter dash, it was like, did I run faster than everyone else or not? And like, obviously, like intrinsic rewards are better than external rewards, but like, I still think about it all the time.
I love your point about being different versus being better. What's your advice to someone who's trying to find their edge?
Have you ever heard of this thing called the Ikigai?
Yes.
So the Ikigai, it's like this like Venn diagram of 4 circles, and it's like what the world wants, what you're good at, what you love doing, and what the world wants to pay for. And I think this takes a really long time. I read a book called Mastery by Robert Greene that helped me. But I think that figuring out what's in your Ikigai, like what's in the middle, that the middle part is called your Ikigai. I think figuring that out and being willing to spend 5 or 10 years to figure that out, that is how you truly can become different and unique.
You know how some coaches, teachers, spiritual guru, or rational gurus, they talk about trying to remember what you liked doing when you were a kid? Do you believe in that?
That's interesting. Well, I still definitely act like a kid. I go like we're about 15 blocks away from the skate park that I go to every Saturday and Sunday.
Awesome.
I go there all the time. I still think I'm a kid. So I guess, yeah, I believe in that. I do a lot of very childish things. Like you'll see me with my children or with my friends' kids. I am on the floor playing with them all the time. So yeah, I guess I do think that like it was funny when I was like 18 and 25, when I acted the way that I act, people just thought I was like an immature kid. Now that I'm 36 with like two cute little girls, when I act the way that I act, everyone finds it so cool.
So cute, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, that's so cute. And I'm like, where were you guys like when I was 18, when I was trying to meet someone? So yeah, I think it's pretty good to like think about that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's so important for people to continue cherishing that childishness, because childishness is play. And to the point about like, oh, can you do things with joy? You can be grinding, but be playing or seeing your company as a playground.
Yeah, which is pretty funny because I often like get on myself. I'm like, I should be more serious about this stuff. But like,
well, maybe that's your edge, you know, if you're not serious.
Yeah, because I just don't care about like one attribute that I have is I sort of just don't give a shit about what people think, and so that's kind of has helped me.
Has that been learned?
No, it was always that way.
Always the case.
Yeah, it was always that way.
That's awesome. What's your life philosophy in one sentence?
If you think you can, if you think you can't, you're probably right.
Okay,
and
yeah,
like I do believe in like a lot of woo-woo like belief stuff. So check this out. This is the Warsaw Ghetto Memorial. This is one of my favorite parts in New York City.
This is beautiful.
Totally underutilized. It sort of feels like you're on like in a park in France or something.
Wow, this is gorgeous.
That is cool, right?
Wait, so the memorial is like, this is the memorial. This is the, oh, there's
like that is,
yeah.
And then this like whole walkway. And like every 30-something-year-old white guy, I'm obsessed with World War II. Oh. And this is like, a memorial for a World War II incident. So I like it.
I love it. I have one last question. No, actually two last questions. What's your dream podcast guest?
I get asked this question all the time.
Okay.
And I've never had a good answer. I don't have a dream podcast guest. I interview all types of people, and the best guests are the ones that I didn't particularly want to have, or I wasn't like particularly looking forward to. So like we had this lady on named Sarah Moore, and I wasn't even on that podcast. I was sick that day, but she started like an egg carton company.
Oh, I think I saw a Trends newsletter about it like in 2020 or something like that.
I was like, I don't want to listen to this shit. And then she starts talking, and it blew my mind. She was like the most inspirational person I've ever seen. And then I had my mother-in-law on recently, and I did not want to have her on because I didn't want to like get family involved in work. And I had her on, and it was the most joyful conversation that I'd had in like a year. So the best podcasts that we have done are people that no one knows about. I don't know about them. Like someone will like pitch it to them, and I'm like, I don't know who this person is. That's been the best podcast.
Personal to me question: how do you prepare for
What's been your favorite MFM episode?
This was not you and Sean MFM, but I loved the one that he did with Jesse Itzler.
Yeah, Jesse's the man.
Yeah, Jesse's amazing. And I love how he's so, again, balanced and joyous, and he's crushing it in so many different areas of his life.
Yeah, there's like a handful of people who we've had in the podcast. We call him like the total man. Yeah. It's like the perfect guy.
He totally is the total man.
And he was it. Yeah, Jesse's on that list.
I feel like we need more examples like Jesse.
I completely agree. Yeah. There's just not that many of them.
Yeah, and I actually, because they were talking about 2026 planning, I kind of took on his like planning system.
He's cool. So I don't know, Jesse is, maybe he's in his 50s. So I have about 20 years to catch up to him, but I hope that I aspire to be as well balanced and cool as him.
That's a very healthy aspiration.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for interviews?
Way less preparation than you think in most cases. So typically, 1 hour before the podcast, I use Claude, and I have this automated Claude task, and it just does all the research on this person, and I just read that. That's all I do now.
But what about
if the person has a book, and the book really interests me, I'll read it.
You'll read it.
The weekend before.
What if like the conversation is not flowing? So, like meeting you today, I was like, oh, I've never met you. Sure, I like know your vibe online, but there is a certain level of nervousness of like, is this going to flow? Is this not going to flow? How to make it flow every time.
So sometimes it falls flat. Yeah. Like we've done a bunch of episodes, not a bunch, but we've done a handful and we just didn't air them. So it does fall flat. But usually I have ways of breaking people. And so I can give you an example. Like there's really like dumb ways. Like for example, we had Brian Johnson was one of the first, I think we were his first podcast ever. And if you ever seen Brian now he's like he's a fun loving guy, but he comes off uptight a little bit at first. And so I remember when I first met him, I was like, he came on. I go, Brian, lovely to see you. Sean and I were just talking about what you look like shirtless. You want to show us right now? And he was like, what? And I was like, I'm just joking. Like I'll just like mess around with him.
I see.
Or usually I have other ways of doing it. Like oftentimes if I want someone to be vulnerable, if I ask them a question, I'll reveal my answer about myself and then I'll ask them theirs. Or if I want someone to reveal certain numbers, let's say I basically know that they sold their company for around $1 billion. I'll be like, what do you sell that for? Like $100 million? And they're like, no, way more. And I'll be like,
it's an ego thing.
I'll be like, what, 150? And like, so like, you can like mess with people and they open up.
Has it been learned or does it come with your playfulness?
I learned it when I was in 8th grade. I read a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People because I was like,
Dave Carnegie.
Yeah, I was like desperate to meet guy friends. And then when I was like 14 and 15, I wanted a girlfriend. So I read like every pickup artist book on how to meet girls that you could possibly imagine. And I like learned like some of the stuff from there.
That's amazing. Well, I want to be mindful of your time. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you.
This is a great conversation.